Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyanandana Salakya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamyam Dadati Swapadantikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We've many times heard that a devotee should be like a tree that stands well rooted in the ground, a tree that gives shelter to others. Today I wanted to just mention the quality of a tree to bend in the wind and to go with the pressure of the wind. And that is important because that is the attitude of a devotee, to go with the will of Krishna, to go with the plan of Krishna. And as we see, Krishna can just do things that we could never imagine. And we could never imagine that the world could stop for a whole year, right? But Krishna can do such things. Only Krishna can do. So everyone during this time, everyone's life to an extent stopped. My life also stopped. And the whole world has been caught up in this artificial way of life. Living in this modern world, racing around the planet in planes, or racing in cars on roads, or racing through cyberspace. We're still racing through cyberspace. And it is also unnatural. Prabhupada would speak of cars traveling at neck-breaking speed. Right? Gandhi once said, any speed that is faster than walking is unnatural. Right? Okay, how about horse riding? But, but still, someone was saying, how many times around the world? Well, every year I go 6 times around the world, and that for 24 years. So that's actually what I've done. Yeah. So it was a strange year, unusual. Everything that we were used to, that changed. And I didn't like it. and although I try to tell myself it's good, and of course it is good, but still I didn't like it. And I guess all of you the same. We didn't like it. And we still don't like it, even if it is good in some ways. But all right, we are bowing with the wind. We are seeing Krishna. We're seeing Krishna as simply, simply, this is what he wants from us now, to reflect a bit, to take a step back from what we were doing and to review. So it's been a year of reviewing what we have been doing before, because we couldn't do it anymore. So the whole world went into this review mode, right? From what am I actually normally doing? And yes, so from a devotional perspective, we can easily see the value of sometimes stopping in your tracks and reviewing our performance. Vyasa Puja is also a time of reviewing, where we do not just glorify the spiritual master, but we also kind of think, where do I stand as a disciple? You also sort of think, well, what have I done so far, right? Even I am also today thinking as a disciple, what have I done to fulfill the desire of my spiritual master? And for one thing, I still have to do something in New York, because I couldn't do this year, although I was planning. So yeah, that's still on my plate. And I would like to finish the 2 books that I've been talking about and that I am working on. My novel and my book about Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya. I hope that there I can make some contribution. And I would like all of you to also think, what contribution? Life is short, and it's not only about how do I live a life in Krishna consciousness. Right? That's a struggle, I know that. I also struggled. And how to live a life in Krishna consciousness. But I found when I shifted my focus from how to live a life in Krishna consciousness to how to make a contribution, that my life automatically was more in Krishna consciousness. And so I'd like to say, Srila Prabhupada spoke very interestingly. And Srila Prabhupada said, why did this miracle happen to me? And obviously he spoke about his movement spreading all over the world. Why did this miracle happen to me? And Prabhupada then started glorifying some of his god brothers. He said, some of my god brothers are very, very learned. Right? Very learned. They are very qualified. More qualified than me. Right? He said, why did this miracle happen to me? And then he said, I can only think of one reason, that I 100% followed the orders of my spiritual master. Now, Prabhupada always thought of making a contribution, very much so. We're seeing that. Prabhupada, his whole life is about making a big contribution to the Sankirtan movement. So, my humble request to all of you is, think about it. What contribution can we make? I mean, just like, some of you make beautiful offerings, right? Very poetic and so on. Much better than me. I am not capable of that. I don't have that poetic ability. And for some of you, it seems to come so natural. So when you have a gift, please use this gift. Use it. Make beautiful things for pushing on this movement. It's like Tungabhadra did her poem. Of course, it was in German, so some of you did not hear, but it was, she's good at it. And she made that her books in the past, and I hope to see such talents develop and in the service of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada once said that this movement, it's a cultural conquest. Yeah, if you're going to tell me, Chant Hare Krishna, right? Then that's Some people will take it, but many people will not take it. Say, why would I do that? Right? But if you present it in a cultural, artistic way, then that may attract me to think about it. So, Srila Prabhupada gave us Srimad Bhagavatam as the principal literature, the Bhagavad Gita as the introduction to the Srimad Bhagavatam, a number of smaller books, and he gave us the Chaitanya Charitamrita, right, which is an expansion of Srimad Bhagavatam. He also gave us the Nectar of Devotion, which is also primarily based on Srimad Bhagavatam. And so we have this knowledge, and somehow or other, let's bring it to the world. And some are on the street and distributing full sets. And others are bringing us plays of Srimad Bhagavatam, like, for example, Bhakti Mark Swami. He took that. And one time Bhakti Mark Swami traveled to South Africa, and he came to the country and he had a huge bag, enormous bag. So the customs saw him and they thought, good catch. And they walked up to him and said, what's in this bag? And he said, a snake. So now it became really suspicious, right? And like, here comes the customs and he says, there's a snake in the bag, like, so they sure said, open this bag, you know what I mean? Open it. So he opened it, and this huge snake came out. This huge snake, like, which he uses for his plays. It was Vasuki. It was the snake that is used for churning the ocean of milk and to bring out the nectar of the demigods. It was a snake from Srimad Bhagavatam, and it was just, and he told them the whole story. And later, that snake was used on a stage in front of 6,000 people who were watching it, and it has been performed many times. And there are so many ways. Just some days ago, I referred to Yadubar Prabhu, who made that film, the Swami, Hare Krishna, the Swami and his movement, something like that. And it's, I was in Durban, and I saw it in Durban. And in Durban, they have this, along the beach, they have a big casino. Now, I never went there. I only walked past it many times. But in that casino complex, there are also cinemas, right? There are cinemas, 5 cinemas, or 6 even, I think. And in one of them, there it was, Hare Krishna, the Swami and his movement. And I mean, right there in the dungeons of the demons, right? Enter deep down into the dungeons of the demons. So I went to the movies. It's been a long time since I went to the movies, right? Actually, when I used to go to the movies, they didn't do popcorn yet in the movies. I've only found out now that everyone does popcorn in the movies, I didn't know about that. Right? That was new to me. But it was so nice. I walked into that huge casino complex, and I saw all these people on the slot machines sitting in dark rooms, just pulling and pulling. And thinking like, God, what misery, what misery. He said, but like right opposite there in big letters on the cinema, right there. This, the Hare Krishna, the Swami and his movement. And there it was. And some of these slot machine people slotted right into the movie because it was on their ground. And they were moved as I was moved. People were touched. So let us all make a contribution. Let us make a contribution. Let us not just think all right, let me live a life in Krishna consciousness. That is good. But let us do more. Let us make a contribution to Prabhupada's movement. All right, we stopped for a year. Then after this year, we can start with more clarity. A year of review means a year of thinking, more thinking. Something to think about this year. I mean, I've been thinking like anything. And so after all this thinking, let's do something. Let's do something. And make it bigger. Just think of Ayindra for a moment, right? And Ayindra, now I'm not talking about the Ayindra from Vrindavan. I'm talking about the Ayindra from New York, the earlier Ayindra. The Ayindra who one day built a truck, but not just on the back of a truck. He built a temple, a beautiful temple. You've seen the picture maybe, but if you haven't, you can Google it, Ayindra's truck temple, and you will surely find it. He made a beautiful temple. And then it was a Harinam Mandir. And in this temple, the devotees would sit on the back, and he would just park this thing at the side of the road and just have his kirtans. And that's where it started. And those kirtans brought him to Vrindavan, and then from Vrindavan to the world. Right? So he did something. Right? And that's at the end what really counts. What really counts, It is not only about what we do, it is also about our consciousness, undoubtedly. But then that consciousness translates into a desire to do something. Because Krishna, yes, we want to glorify him, we want to serve him. So, yes, it's not only about the external things we do. It is about our heart, and it is about our love for Krishna. But where there's love for Krishna, surely there is wonderful service. Just see Srila Prabhupada. Just see that. And where there's not love for Krishna, where there's wonderful service, love will follow. Love will follow that wonderful service. So let us make a contribution, and whatever comes natural. Like we can see, Tommy indeed has talent in making these videos. I mean, some cutting and pasting. He made an interesting conversation. I mean, that's not just that can go way beyond the Hare Krishna, beyond the walls of the Hare Krishna temple, right? That can easily reach so many people. That is wonderful. So many people that are sunken in the swamp of ignorance, caught up in so many foolish activities. We know them. We know these activities. We had a taste ourselves and say, oh, this is too much. Let's just make it a world of devotees. Sometimes you walk around and you're hungry, and okay, you got to get something to eat. You're not in a temple, and it's like it's a whole thing. Okay, go in the supermarket, sort of, forget the meat corner and the fish corner, right? I mean, walk past there quick, right? To get to the fridge, to pick up a tub of yogurt or something, try not to smell the fish, and so on. Meanwhile, read the label, because not all yogurt is vegetarian. If it has thickener, then thickener is usually made from boiled down bones, right? In case you didn't know. So one has to be careful. What is that thickener? So some natural yogurt, strawberry yogurt can also be risky because the red coloring, usually the strawberry flavor is chemical, and the red coloring comes from crushed beetles. You know those ones. Your favorite. Strawberry. I know, he loves strawberries. Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's such a demoniac world, right? So we're living in this crazy world, where your strawberry yogurt is made from crushed beetles. You go, ay, ay, ay. Yeah, that's intense. Huh? But how nice would it be? How nice would it be if everywhere there was prasadam? Or if there would even be one supermarket which would be called prasadam. Imagine, instead of Aldi or Rewe or something, or whatever it is around the world, a supermarket called prasadam. Maybe one of you who has business sense can start a supermarket like that called prasadam. Or maybe we just preach to some business people and they can do it. But, somehow or other, I'm waiting for that day. Some devotees have tried to offer a whole supermarket, actually. They went in and they just tried to offer everything vegetarian in the supermarket, right? Yeah, that's also a way. But what if the supermarkets would be run by devotees, right? That's what we're waiting for. There's so much work to do. We can't sit still. Let us make a contribution. Let us do some devotional service in this movement. This is one of my thoughts. Achar and prachar, behavior and preaching. And of the two, even if the achar is not perfect, at least when the prachar is there, the mercy of Lord Chaitanya is still coming our way. Of course, achar, behavior, yes, must be there. Let us somehow or other try and really be good devotees. And sometimes I say, trying is not good enough, because trying means you're not doing. Someone says, can you chant 16 rounds? I'll try. It means they're not chanting 16 rounds. That's pretty obvious. They're trying. Sometimes maybe they succeed and sometimes not. So, but let us do it somehow or other. This one life, let us just follow it. Struggle with the microphone. Hare Krishna. Microphone dead. Hare Hare. Microphone screaming. Hare Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Yes. So, struggle in life. Struggle with regulative principles. Struggles with the senses. Struggles with the mind. Struggles with offenses. Struggle with criticism. Struggle. Yes, struggle is there. This is the battle between the higher nature and the lower nature. This is inevitable. This is the battle of material existence. That battle will continue until we are in pure love of God. So, we may not always win. All right, don't worry. Carry on. We will win. Together we will win. Because even when we are struggling, there are always devotees. Always devotees who will give us shelter. Always devotees who will give us prasadam. Always devotees who want to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, or devotees who want to sit through a whole Vyasa Puja offering. I mean, how can you go through this? It's like, in one way, it's intense, and in the other way, it's also very nice. devotees. So devotees are our treasure, and time, our service, will mature within us. It's not only that we get eternal spiritual benefit from this devotional service, but actually that service will grow in our heart. We'll get it first attachment to the service. Mass, don't touch a mass service. It's my service. Right? No. And later, attachment to Krishna. Attachment to service leads to attachment to Krishna. So, and then, I have said it many times, but I'll say it again because I think it's important, that I realized that every service that we do is a preparation for a greater service. A greater service. And that in the end, our service becomes taking care of the devotees, right? And inspiring them. And see, I'm sitting here today on this seat with the garland, but I feel we could have also put Akila Prabhu here today and done the same thing. And because I see that I may have some official stars and stripes, and he doesn't care for official stars and stripes, but he's taking care of the devotees and giving that spiritual inspiration. And this is the principle of Krishna consciousness. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we get the pastime of Nakula Brahmachari. And Nakula Brahmachari is a brahmachari who has become empowered. And Lord Chaitanya works through Nakula Brahmachari. And Nakula Brahmachari is just as powerful as Lord Chaitanya, because Lord Chaitanya works through him. And he has the same ecstasy and the tears and the love of God symptoms that Lord Chaitanya has. And in this way, Nakula Brahmachari is brings up that section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, brings up the topic of empowerment. And empowerment is very interesting. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur comments and says, empowerment means that we are being empowered with the happiness potency and the knowledge potency. He talks about Sat, Sit, Anand, and obviously Sat we are not yet. I mean, partially the soul is Sat, eternal, but the body is still temporary. So therefore he didn't speak about Sat. But he said, but the knowledge potency and the happiness potency will manifest in us. The more and more we become empowered. So this is the result. This service, this devotional service is empowering. It is empowering. When we are making a contribution to Krishna in devotional service, we become, we speak about become purified. Yeah, but what does that mean? It means we become empowered. We become empowered. And this empowerment is what makes it possible, right, to do things. So my prayer is that all of you may become empowered by the service you have done to do a greater service. And that you'll also think like that. It's easy to sort of think, well, you know, I've done a lot now. Let's take a step back, right? You know, sometimes anybody thinks like that. 5 years ago, I was very ill with cancer and this and that, and I lost 32 kilos of weight in that, and I lost a lot of strength, and then I went through 2 operations and so on, and then I started to recover, and I had to build back up. So that happened in 2016. So I thought in 2017, well, this year I'm going to take it a little easy, right? I thought, I mean, it's like I said, it was a blast. 2016 was a blast. I said, let 2017 be a bit of a relaxed year. So I thought I'll spend half my time in Radhadesh. I'll spend half my time in Radhadesh to rest, and the other half I'll go out and preach, something like that. Then I got a phone call, right, from Jyotirmayī-devī Swami. We want you to come to New York for a meeting about making a strategic plan for New York. Okay, whoa, I could see it coming. Ay, ay, ay. The end of my piece. And I knew what was going to happen. And I went to New York, and I went to that meeting. And then after the meeting was there was a whole discussion, and there were many devotees there. And then it came about who they thought should write a strategic plan. And guess who was the lucky one? Right? It was. So and then when you write the plan, you know what that means? You can see that coming, right? You're writing the plan, and the next thing is they're going to ask you to do it. You write a plan, and then they say, great plan, now do it, right? So I saw it coming. I said, oh my God, I'm getting very quickly sucked into New York City. And that happened, and I start spending like 4 months a year in New York for 2 years. And then this situation started. So this year, I'm getting a little bit of a break from New York, which I don't mind, to be honest. It's okay. But I'm coming back to New York to do something real, and to try and make that temple into in a lively, booming center. And yes, and some of my disciples, if they want to help in New York, they are welcome. And Devaki should not forget that as soon as things is open, New York, and regularly online with New York as well, right? They appreciated your presence very much, your contributions. So let's have more of that, somehow or other. Let us do something. Let us do something to put this. Should I speak without a mic? I can. It's not good, but could be a little louder. Yeah. So let's do something to put this movement on the map. Right now, this Hare Krishna movement is still not recognized as a significant force in the world. So when we joined, they put us on book distribution. They made us missionaries, and we were for a little while. Some liked it more, some didn't like it at all, some sort of liked it a bit. Different devotees took it in different ways, but we were part of that revolutionary activity to change the world. Now then times moved, and we got busy again with our own life. Now, Krishna stopped us. He stopped us, whatever we're doing. Very good. So now, when it's over, this break, can we again start for real and do something? Do something. If you're a temple president, let your temple be vibrant. Let there be festivals. Let there be, let there be always something going on. Let it just be a booming temple, full of activity. Let there be life. This place, let there be many activities, many festivals, many means to attract devotees. Why only 2 festivals in the years? Everywhere. Let us return to the field with renewed strength for the mission. Nothing else. Let us make a contribution. And then our Krishna consciousness will follow. This is what we're part of. This is what Srila Prabhupada did. That's what it's about, What are we going to do about it? It may sound like a pep talk to some. It sounded to me like that when we got an American Sankirtan leader. I was, for a little while back from India, I was in Bhagavan Zone in maybe 1980 or so. And there was in the middle of the winter, it was Bhaktisiddhanta's disappearance day. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's disappearance day. And we were all out on the marathon. And we all met in this one place. And then a new American Sankirtan leader came in. He was wearing blue jeans. He was having a big blue nylon jacket, one of these big puff jackets, So he looked like a blue Mr. Michelin. And he walks in, and we were all in our dhotis and lots of brahmacharis in those days. So we're all there, and he comes in, and he says to this brahmachari, "Give me that chadar." And he took the chadar, he sat down, threw the chadar over his jeans like a Sankirtan dhoti. And then he said, "Man, we're gonna take over the world." And we said like, wow. And we thought that, yes, we're gonna do it. Then so much history. Then so much history in ISKCON. Books have been written about it. You can read it. The post-charismatic fate of the Hare Krishna movement. Like how the air sort of went out of the tire, and it's still going, but it's not like with that spirit. Well, why not? And it's not stereotype. It's not limited. If the devotees in the old days are not stereotype, right? The story of I told it in a lecture also, but of the devotee who was in a coat falling on the ground and help, help. Lots of people around him. What's going on? Help. Then he says, I'm drowning. Then a man out of the audience comes, I will save you. And he, I'm drowning in the ocean of nescience. And then he just starts pulling him, but he pulls off his coat. And then the devotees stand up and start to explain, who is so bold today? Who will do that? This movement is not stereotype. The devotees were not stereotype. They just did these things. Let us be bold. Devotees went on buses to distribute books. In Rotterdam, they went on the boats to distribute books. They sneaked past the security and did it. I mean, devotees, would go in offices, and then there's this one devotee, he just like is tall, and he looks like always with his head in the clouds. So he's walking in past the secretary towards the director's office, as if he doesn't see her. And she says that, "Excuse me, do you have an appointment?" And he says, "Yes." And he walks straight into the office. And it's just so bold, so bold. Let us think about that. This year is a good year to think, because how much time do we have left? How many years old are you? How long is your life going to be? You don't know. Maybe not so long. And maybe half your life already gone. Maybe 2/3 already gone. Maybe, 90% gone. Maybe 99% gone. Who knows? How much gone. Let's do something while we can. And I feel that make a contribution, whatever it is. Write a book. Sing, make art, make music, distribute books, return to the streets, or do it in other ways. Get the books in the bookstores. You may recall, I'm going to end in a few seconds, but I have my story about Bhakta Andre, who was in the Netherlands, who could never follow the 4 principles. He always struggled. He just somehow or other couldn't do it. But that never held him back from service. And he went to you have these big department stores, multi-story department stores. He went to the director and he said, "I've seen your book department, and I've seen you don't have the books of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada." He said, "You should have a full set there." And he showed him the picture. The director said, "Young man, I like you. You've got guts." He said, "Nobody ever did that to me. Nobody ever walked into my office like that and tell me straight what I should do. I tell you what, I'll do it." And he got all Prabhupada's books. No one ever got it, not the all 5-star Sankirtan devotees. They never got these books in the bookstores all over the country like that. He did. He got a house from the government for Food for Life. He got vehicles. He got many things. But he didn't follow the principles. So he died of AIDS. And I was with him in his last few days, and he asked me. He coughed, a tennis ball of mucus came out of his throat. I go, look, oh man. Oh. And then he said, "I like your kirtan. Can you sing on my funeral?" What could I say? I had to say yes, I said, gosh, I was just in transit. I was thinking, well, but he died within 2 days, so I didn't even have to change my ticket. Yeah, well, you think like that, have to come back for this. Yeah, I had given my word. But he died conveniently within 2 days. Within 2 days. And then there was the funeral, and I came for the funeral, and I knew I was going to do some kirtan. So there was a friend, and he said, "Yes, before the kirtan, we first read out a letter from Andre." And Andre said, "You are all my friends. You're all my friends. And today you've come here for my funeral." There were 400 people. He had a lot of friends. And then Andre continued. He said, "You are all very different. But today, because it's my funeral, I'm asking you to appreciate each other." So what could we do, right? We all were like, we all got into the love your neighbor, And then he said, and within a few moments, someone from the Hare Krishna movement will come forward, and he will start to sing that Hare Krishna prayer. He said, and today, for me, because it's my funeral, I want you all to sing along from your heart. I tell you, they did it. They really sang, and this big lady, Hare Krishna, the opera, full on. It was just amazing. And it just went on like that, and the whole crowd was just really chanting for 15 minutes. And then they gave me a sign to stop. Now, this scene was an amphitheater, like chairs coming down like that to a stage, and on the stage, the box with Andre's body. And then, which was going to be cremated. And then they have an arrangement that the box sinks down into the stage. It goes down. So as the box was going down, they played the Govindam tape. The people cracked. They fell in each other's arms. They were just shocked. They was like, we've never been to anything like this. And all I could say is, Andre did it again. So let us make a contribution. Let us all make a contribution. Lord Chaitanya will remember us. He will remember us. And then miracles can happen. So let's do something. After this year, we get a good break this year, isn't it? Eh? Right? And it might be longer than 1 year, mate. It might be 2 as well, right? Who knows how long this break's going to last, eh? But when the break's over, we may as well, do something. And what you started is good, but now double it. Now double it. That was Srila Prabhupada. If Srila Prabhupada was here today, we wouldn't be sitting so comfortable on our cushion. Life wouldn't be so cushy. He would push us. He would push us like anything. So today, I'm also a little pushy, right? But maybe that's just because I'm now also almost as old as Prabhupada was when he started. And that's when you sort of, it gets more concentrated. You want to make good use of the little time you have left to really push on this movement and to make a change in the world. So please, let us do something to change this world. We have all the tools. We can do it. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. All right, thank you.